Imagine, like, inheriting an empire. Not just, some small country, but a real massive empire, one built up over generations. Talk about pressure. That's Xerxes I for you.
Yeah, stepping into those shoes, following in the footsteps of giants, trying to live up to that legacy.
Definitely not your average inheritance. And that's exactly what we're diving into today, the life and times of Xerxes I.
Yeah.
Gotta go beyond the whole villain thing you see in movies, right?
Right, it's about getting a more complete picture. We've got some great sources to help with that. Excerpts from Timeline and Xerxes' Wikipedia entry just to start.
Perfect for a deep dive then. So we always picture these ancient rulers, these kings, as having like these crazy luxurious upbringings. But Xerxes' childhood, even as a prince, it wasn't all, feasts and games, was it?
Oh, not at all. I mean, it was definitely privileged, but there was a system in place, a very specific way of raising future rulers. We see it in sources like Xenophon and First Alcibiades. It's all about molding them through rigorous training.
Like, what kind of training are we talking about?
Think about physical training, learning to ride, becoming expert hunters. And it wasn't just about learning to hunt for sport. It was about strategy, understanding the land, connecting with the empire on a different level.
Ah, so it's like a real-life version of those hero training montages you see in movies, but instead of, like, lifting logs and stuff, it's all these skills a ruler would need.
Exactly. And a huge part of it was mandatory military service. Even as a prince, Xerxes had to earn his stripes, prove himself alongside other soldiers. It wasn't just about inheriting power. It was about understanding the weight of it, the responsibility to those he would one day command.
So we're talking about traditions passed down for centuries, shaping Persian rulers long before Xerxes. It makes you think, like, what was going through his head, this young prince being prepared for such a massive role?
And it's not just speculation. We see these traditions reflected in later rulers, like Abbas the Great, which shows just how deeply ingrained they were in Persian culture. But before we get too far ahead of ourselves, before he's even on the throne, there's the whole issue of Xerxes actually becoming king. It's 486 BC, Darius the Great, Xerxes' father, dies. You know what happens next? The scramble for power begins.
Right, because it's never a simple transfer of power, is it?
Exactly.
Especially with an empire that big, someone's always waiting in the wings, ready to challenge the heir apparent.
Oh, absolutely. And Xerxes had a rival, his older half-brother, Artabazan. This wasn't just a minor family feud. This was a full-blown succession dispute with the fate of the empire hanging in the balance.
Game of Thrones Ancient Persia edition. So how does this play out? I mean, does Artabazan just, concede defeat?
Not a chance. See, Artabazan, he was older, right? So he believed he had a strong claim based on seniority. Makes sense on the surface.
Yeah, classic oldest child argument. But Xerxes, he had a few things going for him too, didn't he?
Oh, for sure. He was the son of Darius and Atassa. Now, Atassa was a direct descendant of Cyrus the Great. We're talking about the founder of the Achaemenid Empire, a lineage that carried serious weight.
Tough act to follow, founding an empire like that. Talk about pressure. So Xerxes had the bloodline on his side, but gets even more interesting. There was this whole Spartan king situation, right?
Yeah, this is where it gets really wild. So there's this Spartan king in exile at the time who happens to be in Persia during all of this. And get this, he ends up backing Xerxes.
A Spartan king in Persia, helping decide who gets the throne. It's a lot to unpack. What was his reasoning? Seems a little counterintuitive given the whole, Persia-Greece rivalry thing.
Right. But this Spartan king, he actually points to Spartan law. And Spartan law favored the first son born after a king's ascension to the throne. This born in the purple concept, it held a lot of weight, even internationally, apparently. So his backing gave Xerxes even more legitimacy.
So not only does he have the lineage, he's got this foreign ruler vouching for him based on, of all things, Spartan tradition.
Exactly, and it shows Xerxes' ability to navigate these complex political situations. He wasn't just handed the throne, he had to secure it, proving his strategic thinking right off the bat.
But even with a secure claim and a Spartan king in his corner, something tells me things weren't about to get any easier for Xerxes.
Oh, you're telling me. Ruling an empire that size, it came with a whole new set of challenges. And those challenges, well, let's just say they weren't afraid to test a new king. Yeah, talk about a trial by fire. I mean, think about it. You finally secure the throne, right? You're the ruler of this vast empire stretching from Egypt to India. But it's not like everyone just says, okay, cool, you're in charge now.
More like they're all watching, waiting to see how you handle the pressure. And history's full of examples of what happens when a new ruler isn't up to the task.
Exactly. And for Xerxes, that pressure cooker moment came pretty quickly in the form of two major revolts. Talk about a baptism by fire. The first one kicks off in Egypt, 486 BC. Seems like they weren't too keen on Persian rule at the time.
Egypt, always a hotbed for rebellion, even back then. What do we know about this uprising? Was it just like a minor squabble, or did it pose a serious threat to Xerxes?
Oh, this was a serious challenge. The sources suggest that Xerxes actually had to lead the army himself to put it down.
Wow, so he's not just delegating, he's on the front lines. A bold move for a new ruler. What do you think? Showing strength or a necessary risk?
Probably a bit of both, if you ask me. He had to prove he wasn't just some figurehead, especially after that whole succession thing, and it worked. By 484 BC, the rebellion was crushed, and Xerxes installed his own brother, Achaemenes, as satrap of Egypt.
Smart move. Keep your friends close, your potential rivals even closer, especially when they're family. But before he could even catch his breath, another revolt breaks out, right? This time, it's Babylon causing trouble.
Yeah, Babylon, always a thorn in the side of empires. This time, the ringleader was a guy named Shamash-Ariba.
What makes this rebellion different from the one in Egypt?
Well, this one was much more than just a quick uprising. Shamash-Ariba, he was organized. He managed to capture Babylon itself and a bunch of the surrounding cities.
So we're talking about a real strategic threat, not just a minor nuisance.
Exactly. Shamash-Ariba held onto those territories for months, which must have been a logistical nightmare for Xerxes. It was a direct challenge to his authority, right when he was trying to solidify his grip on the empire.
I mean, 2 major rebellions in just a few years. It makes you wonder if those around him underestimated him, saw him as weak after that whole succession battle with his brother.
Oh, absolutely. And it's these challenges, these early tests of his leadership, that really paint a more complex picture of Xerxes. He wasn't just some spoiled prince who inherited an empire. He had to fight for it, both on the battlefield and within his own borders.
It's like those trials they make heroes go through in mythology, except this is real life with real consequences. So how did these rebellions shape his rule? Did he become, like, a more ruthless leader, cracking down on any sign of dissent?
It's interesting. We do see some administrative changes. Like, after the Babylonian rebellion, he splits the Babylonian satrapy into smaller, more manageable units. Some historians see this as a way to consolidate control, but others argue it reflects a more nuanced approach to governing such a diverse empire.
Divide and conquer, but also, maybe, a way to prevent future rebellions from gaining too much steam. It's a reminder that even those seemingly straightforward decisions a ruler makes, they can have these huge ripple effects across the empire.
Oh yeah, for sure. Every action has a reaction, especially when you're dealing with an empire that vast and complex. But of course, when we talk about Xerxes, it's impossible to ignore the shadow of war looming large. Those Persian Wars, they cast a long shadow over his reign.
Yeah, that's what he's most known for, at least in popular culture. Those epic movies with the Spartans and all that.
Right, and those stories, they tend to paint him as the villain, this power-hungry tyrant who throws everything he's got at Greece. But the reality, as always, is a lot more complicated than that.
The Persian Wars were a clash of titans, 2 completely different cultures and ways of life going head-to-head. And it wasn't just a simple case of Persia versus Greece, was it?
Not at all. Xerxes commanded one of the largest and most diverse armies the world had ever seen. We're talking soldiers from all corners of the Achaemenid Empire. Egyptians, Babylonians, Medes, even Greeks from certain city-states that allied with Persia.
Can you imagine the logistical nightmare of managing an army that diverse? Different languages, different fighting styles, different cultural expectations. It must have been incredibly challenging, even for a ruler like Xerxes.
It definitely adds another layer of complexity to his story, that's for sure. And, despite how it's often portrayed, Xerxes and his forces, they actually had some significant victories early on in the campaign.
Oh yeah, like Thermopylae and Artemisium. We tend to forget those, focused as we are on the Greek victories.
Right. Thermopylae, even though it's remembered for the Spartan stand, was a strategic victory for Xerxes. It allowed him to advance into Greece, eventually capturing Athens.
And then there's that story about Artemisia, right? This female advisor who warned Xerxes against attacking at Salamis.
Artemisia of Halicarnassus, she was a queen in her own right, commanding part of the Persian fleet. She saw the situation at Salamis, saw the potential dangers, and basically told Xerxes, hey, maybe this isn't the best move.
Talk about a voice of reason. But he didn't listen, did he?
Unfortunately not. He went ahead with the attack, and, well, we all know how that turned out. But it's important to remember that even after Salamis, the whole narrative of Xerxes just running back to Persia in defeat, it's a bit simplistic.
There were other factors at play, weren't there?
Definitely. Don't forget about those rebellions back home. With things still simmering in Egypt and Babylon, he couldn't afford to be away from the center of power for too long. There was always that risk of someone else trying to seize control.
So it was more of a strategic retreat than a complete defeat, a calculated risk, maybe even a necessary one given the circumstances. But as much as the Persian Wars defined his reign, there was another side to Xerxes, a side that often gets overlooked. He wasn't just a warrior king, he was also a builder, a visionary who wanted to leave his mark on the world.
Absolutely. And those marks, those legacies etched in stone, they're just as impressive in their own way as any military victory.
Okay, so less god of war, more god of architecture. What kind of projects are we talking about here?
Think big. I mean, really big. Xerxes focused a lot of his energy on Persepolis and Susa, two cities meant to showcase the absolute peak of the Achaemenid Empire.
Yeah, Persepolis, even in ruins, it's iconic. Those massive columns, the reliefs, it's all super impressive. What was he going for there?
It was all about sending a message. This was the symbol of imperial power. He took what his father started and went even bigger. The Gate of All Nations, for example, huge entranceway, statues of mythical creatures, just awe-inspiring stuff.
I bet. Walking through those gates, seeing those figures towering above, must have been a statement like, don't mess with this empire.
Exactly. And that's just the entrance. Then there's the Hall of 100 Columns. As the name implies, 100 intricately carved columns holding up this massive audience hall. Ceremonies, gatherings, you name it, all happened in this incredible space. Representatives from every corner of the empire all gathered under Xerxes' roof.
It's hard to even imagine the kind of manpower and skill that took. But were these buildings just about projecting power, or was there more to it?
Oh, there was always more to it. Take the Gate of All Nations again. Yeah, it's huge and imposing, but look closer. The reliefs show delegations from all over the empire bringing tribute to the king. It's not just decoration, it's propaganda. It's showing the diversity of the empire, all these different people united under Xerxes' rule.
A visual reminder of just how vast and powerful the empire was, carved in stone for everyone to see. And what about Susa? What was happening over there?
Susa was different, more of a cultural hub. A melting pot of traditions and ideas from all across the empire. Xerxes picked up where his father left off with the palace complex there. He added these beautiful glazed brick relief guards, processions, all sorts of scenes showing off the artistry of the empire.
So he's creating these incredible buildings, but he's also shaping the cultural identity of the empire, right? Showing off its sophistication, its artistry, not just its military might.
Exactly. It's one of the reasons those structures are still so captivating, even as ruins. They give us a window into Xerxes' mind, his ambition, this drive to leave a lasting legacy that went beyond just conquering lands. But as we often find with these powerful rulers, even with all the grandeur and the victories, things don't always end well. There's always someone waiting in the wings, ready to seize power.
It's like no matter how high you climb, there's always someone looking to knock you down. So what happened? How did Xerxes' reign come to an end?
Betrayal. And from the most trusted source imaginable, Artabanus, the commander of his own bodyguard.
Wait, his own bodyguard had him killed. Talk about a twist.
Right. It just shows how precarious power can be, even for someone like Xerxes. Historians believe Artabanus, probably fueled by some serious ambition, conspired with a eunuch named Aspamiters to get rid of Xerxes. And in 465 BC, they did just that. Assassinated him right there in his own palace.
This goes to show sometimes your biggest enemies are the ones closest to you. So what happened next? Did Artabanus just take over?
He tried to. Some accounts say he tried to frame Xerxes' son Darius for the murder, which led to Darius being executed. Other sources suggest that Artabanus killed Darius even before going after Xerxes. It's all really murky, classic palace intrigue stuff.
A real tangled web of betrayal and murder.
Yeah.
But someone stopped Artabanus, right?
They did. Another son of Xerxes, Artaxerxes, he saw through Artabanus' lies, confronted him, and ultimately killed both Artabanus and Aspamiters. Revenge for his father and securing the throne for himself.
It's like poetry, but with a lot more bloodshed.
Yeah.
Talk about a family drama. Well, I think we've definitely gone beyond the Xerxes as the bad guy narrative here. This has been quite the deep dive.
It really has. We started with this image of a one-dimensional villain from the movies. Now we're seeing a ruler shaped by tradition, a leader who faced incredible challenges, who achieved great things, and who ultimately fell victim to the dark side of power.
It makes you think, doesn't it?
Yeah.
What if we had his side of the story, his perspective on all of this?
Always the question, isn't it? The past is a puzzle, and we're stuck trying to put it together with only a handful of pieces. But that's part of what makes history so fascinating.
For sure. Well, we've only just scratched the surface here. For those of you who want to dig deeper, we've got a whole bunch of resources linked in our show notes. In the meantime, keep exploring, keep asking questions, and remember, history is a conversation, not just dates and battles.